Well, the Welsh Assembly Government targets that have just been released in September, firstly, they are on track for meeting the obligations to the Paris Agreement, which is a big tick because there's no point getting involved with targets that are wrong, that you know you're going to have to ramp up and change the plans that you have. So we've got the right targets. And the research we've been doing with Zero Carbon Britain over the past 10 years has shown they are achievable.
1 gigawatt, if it was all community-owned energy, which is what I guess we'd like to see, but if it was all community-owned energy, that would be 100 times the amount of community-owned energy as there is at the moment, so it's quite significant.
Well, community-scale projects can begin to innovate and find new ways of delivering food, energy, transport, housing, but they also bring people together. They also inspire communities and empower communities and get more of the income that's to do with energy and food going into the local economy, which has a multiplier effect which makes us all better off. We can get to net zero emissions within a couple of decades if we have the political will.
I think for me, projects around climate change which really work and really fly are projects which have really dominant co-benefits. So projects that aren't just about tackling climate change and cutting carbon, but are also bringing really immediate benefits to the people who are involved in them. And whether that be, because you put solar on a school and that means more income for the school and they can use that on resources, or you do, a tree planting project which draws carbon from the air but also means that you have like a beautiful green space to live in. I think getting that balance of kind of long-term objective meeting with kind of immediate benefits for the people who take part.
So the real benefit of local energy is that you can retain and maximise the benefits of both energy generation and cheap energy to local users. You can retain all of that within a set local area.
I think Welsh Government have got a good grasp of what's going on. What we see around us today is how we can achieve this. These are the pioneering community-scale projects beating out new relationships with energy, with housing, with food. They just need to be scaled up and supported.
For a community project to really work, you need everyone. You need some people who can give loads of time, some people who can only give a little. You need lawyers, but you also just need someone who can take the minutes or make the teas or whatever. So I think as a movement, as a project, we need everyone involved.
I guess where we were 5 years ago, there were not many councils at all entering into this area, so local authorities working with community energy groups. There's a few now across the country, Edinburgh, Plymouth, Bristol, Nottingham, Peterborough, all good examples where they've dabbled in local authorities supporting community energy groups. So the SCEES project, Swansea Community Energy and Enterprise Scheme, was established by Swansea Local Authority, by the local council. And they really had a vision to how can we maximise the social and economic benefits of having renewable energy assets in our local area. So the local authority could have delivered that themselves, but to maximise the economic and social benefits, they deliberately decided that it should focus on kind of fuel poor, deprived wards in Swansea, and that there should be some sort of community element to that. We really need to see local authorities embracing this approach and working directly with communities to deliver positive outcomes in their local area.
I think we need some significant change. We need to use the levers that we have in Wales to make it happen. So, looking at some of the levers that we've got available to us, we've got business rate relief that we could use in Wales to help support community-owned energy. We've got the Wellbeing of Future Generations Act that could be used to support the planning process and make it much easier and to favour community-owned energy projects, recognising the social benefits that come along with that. We could be providing access to publicly owned land and buildings. Local authorities like the Swansea Community Energy Project, where the local authority use their buildings for the community energy project. We could be doing much more of that. And I also think we could look at how we can make sure either help to enable local communities to buy their energy off these local projects, or perhaps the public sector could buy their energy from community-owned energy projects, so we have a fixed price and we know that we're going to get a good price for our energy.
So we as a sector need to educate more councillors of the positive outcomes that come from these projects. There are a number of councillors across the UK who are either inspiring these projects and or getting involved, whether be a board director or a trustee of these projects, and we need to see a lot more support from councillors, which is driven by promoting the great work that's already out there.
So I think networks are absolutely vital. Based on my experience of working with different groups, what you often find is lots of different groups in lots of different parts of the country are actually coming up against the same challenges and the same problems, and they're putting loads and loads of volunteer time and money and effort into kind of solving those problems. And actually, if we could just connect people up together, it would be so much more efficient, in terms of the amount of time that's spent, but also I think as much as the efficiency, it's about the motivation and the support network as well. So it's about sharing skills, but it's also about remembering that you're not doing this on your own and meeting up with people and having a laugh about the fact that you've had a flipping nightmare time or it's gone really well or whatever. So I think networks are about kind of sharing skills and sharing support.
And I think if we're going to make this happen, we need to use network effectively. We all need to be demanding these changes and making it happen, and we've seen how we pulled together over an issue such as business rates, which was really hitting community hydro, and we are getting somewhere with the politicians in terms of changing their policy on business rates for community hydros, but we need to go much further if we're going to meet this 1 gigawatt target.
Well, it's interesting to think about how the finance moves. One of the most innovative and interesting reports that's come out has been looking at the externalised costs of burning fossil fuels, all the hidden subsidies, the future adaptation costs, the medical costs of lung-related diseases. Now, it's been calculated that's $5.3 trillion for 2015 alone, and if Greenpeace had have done that, it would have been a fabulous piece of work. But the fact it was done by the International Monetary Fund makes us understand that we really do have to have a level playing field. Well, community-based solutions are small enough and flexible enough and innovative enough to begin to build new relationships with how we deliver our energy, how we deliver our housing, how we move ourselves around, how we deliver our food. So they can begin to break through the sort of carbon lock-in we have about the fixed systems, the systems that are sort of dragging us in the wrong direction, and begin to pioneer new relationships. So they're absolutely pivotal. That's why it's so brilliant to be here today supporting them.